Okay, so what we've got here is my pedal board. Apologies if the sound sounds really awful down here. I moved the mic and it's a built-in mic with a camera, so it probably sounds a bit weird. But anyway, this is a pedal board that I bought perhaps a year and a half ago. It's exactly the same model that David O got, and there's a review of it that he posted, which is very good. It holds 6 pedals, and basically, if you don't know anything about pedal boards, it powers each of the pedals, so you don't have to plug each one in separately, and you just input your guitar at this end. That's my input straight from my guitar, and output this end to your amp. And you can kick anything on, and it'll work. Basically, that's all it is. It's got a lid on it to keep all the dust off, but I kind of don't use that. I've just got a hoover around it. Yeah, so briefly what I've got is the Digitech RP200. I'll mention that in a minute. I've got the Boss CS3 compression sustainer, the Boss SD1 Super Overdrive, and the Boss DS1 distortion. Now this, the Digitech, is a amp and effects modeler, which basically this was another early thing that I bought because I didn't have any effects. I only had that crappy little custom amp and my cheap guitar, and I wanted to just experiment with sounds and see what I could do with my equipment, and I was just experimenting at that point because I didn't want to go state of the art straight away because I haven't got the money. So this was quite cheap, I think, and they go even cheaper now. It's not very good, I have to say, but it's still on my pedal board after all this time, so it's doing something. Basically now I just use it as a tuner. If you hold both of the buttons down for a second or two, you're straight into tuning mode, and off you go. You get the red light in the center and you're away. I'm a bit out of tune on my E string, so turn that up. But basically you can preset many different sounds as you want. This is called AC/DC single coil, but it's not really what it sounds like. But I've got an awful lot of reverb on my amp there, sorry. These are just presets that I've done. This is a Fender. You've got to be on the clean channel of your amp though. This is a wah. This expression pedal you can use as a wah. I'm at the wrong angle to be doing that, but anyway, you can do. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of what it is. You can set the amp type on it. It's like rectifiers, Marshalls, stacks, fuzz, cleans, things like that. You've got all the effects you could ever want. You've got phases, flanges, tremolos, chorus, delays, reverbs, yah-yahs, wah-wahs, whammies. They all sound a little bit substandard. It's only a cheap thing, but it's a good thing to get you on the road to that kind of thing. Yeah. Don't do harmonics. Okay. So anyway, you bypass that. So that is basically my glorified tuner. I've just sent for a Snark, so that is going to be out of my effects loop pretty soon. I'm going to get a proper wah pedal, which you can also fit into the pedal board if you take the end out. So for my ruined slippers. But anyway. So yes, the next two that I got, because they were cheap, was the Boss SD1 and the Boss DS1. Now the SD1 is a overdrive. Now it is not the greatest sounding pedal in the world. If I just kick it on from this, that's my clean sound. It's only kind of light. If I turn the drive up a little bit, because it's on almost nothing, and the level, kind of nice, but I don't use it for that. I roll the drive off quite a lot, and I have to level at about 11, and then I go onto my drive channel on my amp. A bit more gain there, and I use this as a boost when I go into a solo. I kick that on so it's a little bit higher, so you can hear if I do this. That little bit more boost to your signal, and it just sounds a little bit nicer, slightly more sustain. The DS1 is a bit more of a fiery pedal. If I go onto my clean channel and then kick this on as I have, turn the level up a bit. That's with distortion. Now, a mistake I only embarrassingly recently realised was that overdrive is different to distortion. They're two different sounds. Distortion will literally distort your sound, which seems obvious, but as a bit of a noob, I didn't know. Gets kind of more of a fuzz sound, does distortion. And again, I use that on top of my drive channel on my amp. It's good for ZZ Top if you add that over a Marshall amp, just a little bit of that. You see, the reviews of a DS1 all say that it's world renowned and been kicked on by guitarists for years and years all over the world, and it's one of the best pedals ever. I wouldn't believe that if I was you. It's not the greatest thing, but it is very handy. I use it on a lot of my videos as a slight boost to an already almost there signal, and it works pretty well actually for that, so it was worth the money for me. I know people mod them, both of these pedals, a lot. Don't know what changes that makes, don't know anything about mods, but it's something to bear in mind. Now, my compression sustainer I got fairly recently actually, and I can't really get to grips with it. It's not my personal sound. It's nice with a clean tone. If I show you what it does there, that's the oh, it's not, I've just switched on to the gain. That's without, this is with. Turn the level up. So it brings down the levels, which is what a compression is. It makes the harsh tones quieter and the lowest tones higher, so you get more of a steady signal, if you didn't know that. It also sustains your note a little bit longer. So if I go into my gain, also has a lot of hiss. You'll notice that a lot of these pedals, when you kick them on, will make your amp make a hissing noise in the background. That's normal. If I play something just on my standard channel, gain channel, then I kick this on, you'll hear how the notes are much more clearer and they sustain longer and better. What it does, it raises the volume as the volume of your note gets lesser. So it's quite handy. It's good for certain songs, but it's my least used pedal. It doesn't really fit into the sound that I'm looking for very easily. It works for some people, but it's not my sound, I don't think. So if anything goes, that will be the one to go. I've got a Behringer SF300 on the way in the post, which is a fuzz pedal, much like one of these, only it was a fraction of the cost. It was only about 20 quid. So very, very cheap pedals Behringer makes, much cheaper. They're kind of economy versions of the Boss pedals, so they're worth checking out, because for a bit of fun, for a small bit of money, they've got to be worth it. Even if they aren't too great, you can find some kind of use for them. And that really is my entire rig. I use this mic. Hold on a second. This is my microphone that I use for all my videos, apart from this one. One of these, okay, it just plugs straight in to the mic jack on any PC, like that, with one of them, and it was free in a cereal packet years ago. Literally, I'm not joking. And I'm still using it now. Basically, if I plug into Reaper or something like that, or Audacity or anything, you can just record straight into it and then up the mids in some equalizer or plug-in, and you get a fairly decent signal. And a tip from me that I got from Mike was put the microphone right in front of your amp, okay? Not on the floor or just to the side, right in front of the speaker, because you get the clear sound then. You'll see in this video earlier on that I have the amp tilted. I've got a cardboard box behind it that I lean it against, so it is pointing directly at my ears, so that you hear the true sound of what's happening as you're playing. And if you play like that for a little while and then stand the amp straight as it was before and listen to the difference, you'll hear it's much more boomy. It doesn't sound so great. It sounds much more amateurish as well, because you're not hearing the true sound. So all I've done recently is put my mic there, tilt the amp, and that is basically why I sound so much better lately. It's nothing to do with my playing. I've always played okay, but you know, I've just been experimenting more, and you get a much truer sound for these videos. So if anyone like me on Vanderbilly has pretty much, you know, average to substandard equipment, you can still get a fairly decent sound of it if you do it right. If you haven't got a microphone at all, just point your amp at the camera mic, you know, just point it towards that instead of at your ears when you're recording, and you should get at least a little bit of a better sound. That's my little tip. I think we're going to have to call it a day here, because it's going to come up to an hour soon. So if you got to the end of this video, congratulations. There is no prizes, but you know, jolly good job from the English. I hope you enjoyed it, and when I get some new pedals and possibly the Snark, I'll do a little review of those and keep you posted. Thanks very much. Cheers.